Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks, podcast number 20 this week. Joined again by John, my regular companion here on the podcast. John, how are you this week?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
So you're in shorts and a t-shirt.
Oh yeah,
today.
It's lovely, sunny. All these Spanish people going around with trousers and jumpers and coats and things. Went to school. I had my coat on when I went to school, but I was all ready for the sunny day. Yeah.
That's right. What's the temperature going to be today? Do we know?
20 odd, isn't it?
20 odd?
21 maybe.
All right, good. Yeah, sort of. It's
shorts enough.
Yeah, I don't see too many people walking around in shorts, but I see a lot of people having trouble dressing at the moment because of the cold mornings, the hotter days. You don't know whether to put on winter clothes or summer clothes. So you've just gone straight for the summer clothes. There's no doubt there. All right.
Yeah. No, I took the kids to school this morning. I had a jacket and a coat on, but I was in my shorts. So I don't really feel the cold on my legs much, so it doesn't really bother me. So I'd rather get up in the morning, get dressed in what I'm going to wear for the rest of the day, and just put an extra layer on it up top until the sun comes up. So,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Your legs don't feel the cold. No. I remember when I was a young boy in Australia, we used to go to school in the middle of winter with shorts on, but of course the Perth winter is nothing. Perth winter is probably just like we have today.
Yeah.
So it's not too bad. And then it warms up during the day and away you go. Now, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been still busy because obviously we've still got all the exams coming up, so it's been a busy week, but it's been nice because of the weather. So even had one class outside in the garden this
really?
week. Yeah.
Okay.
So, nice.
Enjoying getting a bit of sun?
Yeah, it's nice to get a bit of sun.
All right, yeah. That's one of the pros of this time of year is that we can get a bit of spring weather.
Yep.
Around the 20th of March. Officially spring, I think, yesterday was
started on Wednesday.
Wednesday was it? Yeah, so officially spring,
yeah.
And of course there's lots of trees in bloom and all of those things that you do associate with the spring here in Spain. Now, we had a couple of comments on the last video. One in particular, John, was from a lady called Iris, and she talked about home scams.
Yeah, quite rife at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, and she said, this probably isn't affecting you guys. She's right there because
it
obviously...
doesn't affect us specifically, but in Madrid it does affect people.
Of course, yeah. Well, we're not in the situation. I mean, you've got a steady rent and...
Yeah.
And we own this home here. But something that's happening in Malaga on Idealista a lot is fake ads with great prices, and people are hacking real estate accounts to look legitimate. Now, I didn't really know a lot about this problem, but somebody got in contact with me about 6 months ago. An Aussie guy got in contact with me and he said that he'd found a house in Valencia for 30,000 euros. And
to buy 30,000 euros.
To buy 30,000 euros. And he asked me if it was legit. And I said, I don't think for 30,000 in Valencia in particular. Maybe if you were in Teruel or one of those places that's
small
not so,
village or something, and it's
or even a city that's not very popular, like Zamora. Maybe you could get something for
30,000 in a city.
Well, depending on the size.
Yeah,
depending on the size. But this was apparently a 2 or 3 bedroom home in Valencia. I'm not sure of the part of Valencia that it was in, and it was 30,000 euros. And he said, do you think this is a fair price or is it a scam? And I went to the ad, and the house was in the worst area of Valencia.
Yeah.
Okay. Now a lot of cities all over the world, they have good areas and they have bad areas. Yeah. And this looked to be in one of the worst areas of Valencia, and it was 30,000 euros, which is way under the market price. And I got the impression that the scam was that people maybe people are renting these homes. I don't know what they're doing, and or maybe they managed to get a listing somehow. The price obviously is very tempting. They're asking for a cash transaction or a part of that money in cash up front. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
And then when you go there to check out the property, the owner opens the door and says, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. So I think that's one of the scams that's going on, and I think this is what Iris means here when she talks about these type of scams. And I think you mentioned that there's also scams in the renting sector as well.
A lot. In the renting, there's a lot of scams. At the moment, it's affecting a lot of the teaching assistants coming over. It's worse, obviously, in August, September, October, when most of them arrive. But even now, you've got adverts going up for renting a property. Seems pretty reasonable. Price seems good. You have to put down a deposit to actually get the
keys. Or?
Not get the keys, but before you actually see the property, you have to put down some sort of deposit to like reserve it, be first on the list if you like, if you want it. If you don't take it, we'll give you a deposit back and that, but yeah.
Okay.
And then they just disappear. Typical thing. But not just that, it's the people that actually do rent out their properties as well. They'll put in things like gastos incluidos, so includes expenses, gas, water, electricity, etc. You get there, you start renting the property, and then all of a sudden you've got these extra expenses coming through, and they're like, no, it's not really included in that. And then when you look at the contract, they haven't actually put it in the contract. They've just said it, but they've not put it in the contract. So people are getting taken for rides because they're not being careful. And then you've got the ones that just don't give deposits back, which is rife with the teaching assistants, because they're only there for 9 months, some of them maybe a year, and they'll give any excuse not to give the deposits back, and some of them pay a lot of deposit. Then of course they go back to America, the majority of them, and how they're going to pursue getting this money back.
Well, you can't.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, probably you're giving the money up front in cash or a transfer or...
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them that are doing it under the table, so a lot of people don't actually declare the income from their properties, and then leaves you in a very awkward position if you're the tenant. If anything goes wrong or if there's any legal standings at all, you've got the problem. I mean, made me laugh the other day. I saw a post from one of the teaching assistants. He was... made aware of this room that was available for rent. He took the room. He was sharing the flat with 2 other people. One of the other people was the actual landlord. Okay, so it was 2 tenants and the landlord. The contract includes expenses. Okay, so the landlord about 2 or 3 months ago complained about the expenses being extremely high. You're using the electricity and the heating and things without being careful, and you put the heating on all day and things like that. And the guy was like, well, no, not really, but I'll try and be careful. And he said that he actually stopped using the heating for a couple of months during the winter. He said it was frozen, but he just thought, just try and appease this guy. I'm going to be here a few more months. The guy came back saying that he had a bill for €500 or something, expenses. So when the guy got back from work one day, he went to cook his dinner,
and the gas had been cut.
No. The guy had taken all the knobs off the cooker.
Oh, really?
So he couldn't turn the gas on. He's like, oh my god, how far are you going to go with this thing?
Yeah, well, I've heard stories like that. I mean, I've heard stories in Australia where they once the toilet paper runs out, there's no more toilet paper. Everything's rationed. And I suppose when it comes to these expenses, what you consider to be reasonable and what somebody else considers to be reasonable, especially when it comes to heating, for example, And I think you've got to be careful with this type of thing, because you can get a big gas bill if you do leave the heating on a lot of the times. Because gas is not cheap, and a lot of the houses nowadays, they have individual heating systems where the expense can come back on you. In the older, I'm not going to say in the olden days, obviously, because it wasn't that long ago, but when I first came to Madrid, there was a central heating that was controlled by the building, and that was included in the price. So, for example, it was an individual. I couldn't turn it on, I couldn't turn it off in the flat. It was one of those things that was controlled by that.
In one of ours,
It was controlled by the doorman of the building, or the conserjes, they call them here. He was the person that controlled the heating, and it went on in a certain month of the year, and it went off in a certain month of the year. Yeah. And you could turn it down, but you couldn't. You had no control. No. So the house was always hot in winter, basically. But that's slowly disappearing as more individual systems get put in. And if you buy a new house nowadays,
no, they're all individual now.
They're all individual. Yeah.
As far as I know,
whether you buy a flat or whether you buy a house, obviously it's going to be individual. So you've got to be careful with these things, because you can get a big gas bill, and it is going to be a point of contention with a landlord if you are spending too much gas, I suppose. So
I mean, if you've got the expenses included, they're always going to put up a bit of a fuss if
that's right,
spending too much. But I mean, really, if they're worried about it, they shouldn't include the expenses. Utilities should be.
That would be the logical. That would be the logical thing to do. I mean, it's like with. I mean, there's no problem with internet, but imagine if you had like a 20 gigabyte limit on the internet, and and you were using it all in the first week or something like that. I mean. Obviously, there's no limits on internet connections a lot of the times, but you can see that they can be points of contention. But you would expect that if it says expenses included, the landlord's not going to come down on you. Sorry,
they should be included. If it says expenses included, well, they shouldn't be putting up a fight. If that's the case, they should change the contract.
Yeah, but that's it. But that's one of the problems when it comes to renting, and you're always going to have these problems. So beware of scammers. Unfortunately, people are looking to take advantage of. Other people. I mean, it happens everywhere. I mean, it's Spain is not unique in that sense. But if somebody sees that there are a lot of American, young teachers coming here looking for flats at a certain part of the year, other people are going to realise that that's an opportunity to exploit, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And in the coastal areas with a lot of foreign people coming, looking for houses in Valencia, Alicante, I mean, there are going to be scammers. But how do you get around it? That would be the question. Well, look at the average price. I mean, there are places that will tell you the average price of a flat in Valencia, and I can almost guarantee that it's not going to be 30,000 euros. And if it is 30,000 euros, there's going to be a problem somewhere.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, I honestly don't think there's anywhere you can buy somewhere for 30,000 euros that isn't in a small village, set back from the coast or in the middle of the country. I mean, for example, there's just a house I saw from a family member. They were going to sell it. The house is in the middle of a little village. It's in ruins, the house. It's in the middle of Badajoz.
So you got to spend another 50 or 60,000 to
you have to
do
spend
it
a
up.
lot of money on it. It's a terraced house, tiny little garden, and I mean that, even though it was in ruins, it was 30,000.
Yeah,
about
yeah.
30.
In Badajoz.
Yeah, in Badajoz.
Yeah. And
So,
Badajoz is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not as if it's going to be any touristy thing. It's people that live in there in the area.
That's
So
it.
I mean, yeah, 30,000. You're not going to get much for 30,000.
Well, especially
you
not
can get flats, maybe.
I don't know.
Small flats
On the Mediterranean coast?
maybe.
Yeah.
We used to be able to.
Well, in the middle of the crisis.
They've gone up a bit now.
In the middle of the crisis,
yeah.
But maybe in a village, or maybe in a small town somewhere on the outskirts of, Alicante, or one of those places you could do. So one of those places that had massive construction, and then all of a sudden the bottom fell out, and people are looking for a quick sale. Or in Murcia, I think there was some type of macro complex that they built, and it went bust, and maybe you could pick up a bargain there. But in the middle of Valencia city, like in the middle of Madrid city, there's nowhere for that price.
And people want to be careful as well. I mean, if you're going to be buying somewhere, even though it looks like a reasonable deal because of a situation that's happened, for example, the huge complexes that were built during the crisis and then they were just abandoned.
Yeah.
Some of the problems are with the fact that they try and sell these places off, but they don't sell enough of them, or they're not finished correctly, and then you've got sewage problems. The electricity is not connected properly. They haven't had the right planning permissions. Some of them get demolished. You really got to look into it properly. Make sure you do all the right surveys before you actually buy the property.
Yeah.
Some people just go in head first and don't get it all done properly.
Yeah, and I think that's you've got to be careful nowadays as well, because Spain is going through another housing boom at the moment, or at least where we are here. I think we've spoken about that before.
Yeah, certainly growing here. Yeah.
Well, there's cranes all over
Everywhere,
the place here. I don't know if it's the same on the coast at the moment. You were down there. Did you see any building activity?
It's definitely improved. They've definitely started finishing off things that have been left for 5 or 6 years. So it has improved, but I don't think they've gone quite to the length of Rivas yet.
Yeah, so this is just like it's just mass building activity going on at the moment. There's trucks all over the place, dusty. Yeah, a little bit uncomfortable having to live here with all of this stuff going on. But that's the progress, I suppose. That's the progress. Yep. But anyway, so if you are looking to buy a house or rent a house in Madrid or any of the other cities in Spain, be aware of the scams. As I said, look at the average prices for the area. Don't think that you're going to be the person that's going to get the bargain of a lifetime, because, it's not going to happen. And don't fork out your money unless you get a guarantee, basically.
Make sure you get guarantees. Make sure you've done your surveys on the houses. Don't pay anything up front for a rental property unless you've seen their rental property and you've got a contract, because you'll probably find that'll disappear.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because there are those times of the year when there is so much demand, September, October, when there are a lot of people coming here, and there is always that temptation because you're desperate to get a place that you want to leave that money with somebody, and away it goes. And they go to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic on holiday with it.
That's what these people are doing. They're preying on people's desperation.
Yeah,
in September, the amount of people coming in September looking for places and the amount of houses available is very disproportionate. So, the people are literally getting here and they've got nowhere to go. They don't know what to do. Their money's running out. They're in a hotel or they're in a hostel or something, and they get desperate. Desperate
to get into accommodation. Yeah, that's it. So, well, maybe a good thing would be come a couple of months earlier, maybe, and.
Yeah, I mean...
in August or something like that.
Prepare yourself beforehand. I mean, the only problem with that is, obviously, if the Americans come over, which is the majority of them are Americans, I think probably 80% of the teaching assistants are Americans. If they do come over earlier, they're not going to have any health insurance, maybe, for a couple of months until it clicks in with the program, unless you get it personal.
Can't get a private?
You can get private. They're all private, I think, but they've got a... if they do it through the program, there's some programs actually as part of the program provide the health care. If you do it privately, you need to make sure you do it up front.
But if you came here a month before and you were on like a tourist visa, you could get your travel insurance would cover you for anything serious, I suppose. No, until your other contract kicks in. So, that's it. Beware of the home scams. Always somebody looking to take advantage of somebody else here and everywhere else for that matter. Now, John, we'll move the conversation on to food. Now, I saw an article here. It said 14 foods that you need to try if you visit Spain. Now, I know you're a big fan of Spanish food.
I'm a big fan of
fan of food in general.
Yeah, my stomach shows you.
What are some of the Spanish foods that you would say that people have to try when they come here?
I mean, my absolute favourite Spanish product is jamón. I love jamón. I could eat a whole jamón, just keep slicing away. I love jamón.
We're talking about the Spanish ham?
Spanish ham.
And a good one?
Cured ham, yeah.
A good one?
Yeah, I'll eat any ham because I just love the whole lot. But obviously you get a good one and that's just like... addiction. It's crazy. I love it.
Pork is the number one food in Spain. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I reckon that if you asked 10 Spanish people what the last meal they had before they, if they were going to sit in the electric chair or something, the last food that they had before, it would be jamón. Eight out of 10 would say jamón. Yeah. Maybe one person would say something else, but
the vegans and the vegetarians probably wouldn't say that.
Yeah, okay. But I think
even some of those do.
Well, when no one's looking.
Yeah.
So 14 foods that you need to try if you visit Spain. Now, on this list here, they've got there's something in Catalonia called pan tumaca.
Oh yeah, of course.
Pan con tomate or something like that.
Yeah, I actually really like that for breakfast. It's really nice. Yeah, it's I used to.
It's fairly simple.
Very, very simple. It's garlic, tomato, and it's sort of spread onto the toast or the bread.
I'll just apologise if anyone from Catalonia, I didn't pronounce that properly, but I have no idea.
No, I apologise if I get the ingredients wrong. So.
But basically, it's bread with tomato would be the translation. Pan con tomate, and as you said, it's fairly simple. Just a bit of toast, but not nice bread, not your sandwich bread. A bit of oil.
Yep.
Bit of salt.
Yeah, I normally put salt on mine as well.
Bit of tomato.
And then jamón.
And then you put ham on top.
Yeah,
all right, you go to that extra thing.
Yeah.
And they're actually serving it here with alioli or something as well. That's obviously in Catalonia. Here you wouldn't do. But if you go to a bar in Madrid, Pan con tomate is one of the most popular breakfasts.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you walk into a place, everybody's having pan con tomate. Another thing they mention here is churros.
I love churros.
Now, these are, maybe it's just where we're living here, but there's a couple of churros places that specialize, churrerias they're called, and they're incredibly popular.
Yeah, I mean, I love churros.
Amazingly popular.
But I mean, they're
terribly bad for you.
A lot of fat. I mean, they use oil. I mean, you pick them out, they're dripping with oil. But they are really nice, lovely with sugar. You dip it in your really thick hot chocolate as well, and it's fantastic. But it's something. I mean, God, we probably only have them about maybe 5 or 6 times a year on a Sunday morning or something.
Well, because obviously you don't want to overindulge. But churros are one thing, but I prefer
the porras.
Porras, yeah, which is it's a bigger, thicker.
Yeah, it's like a stick
donut, if you want. Because I think they are donuts at the end of the day. But very, very popular. And if you go to any fair or one of these local fiestas here in Spain, there's always a little takeaway churro van. Yeah. They even pop up on the corner of some of the streets as well, and everybody on a Sunday morning especially.
It reminds me of when I was a kid, when we used to go to the fun fairs or go to the beach, and you go out at night time, you'd have your fish and chips, or you'd go for a meal somewhere, go to the pub for some food. And on the way back, you'd get some hot donuts on the pier or something. You go down there, you get the hot donuts of sugar and just fried. You actually watch them cook them, and it reminds me of the churros. I mean, they're quite similar.
It's
in
the same
a way.
Smell.
Very much the same smell.
Same smell.
They have different texture, but they're not like your donuts you get in Spain. Donuts in Spain are very doughy. The donuts. I'm not so keen on those. I like the hot. Freshly cooked donuts. I do like those, yeah,
good. So but we've got to control our weight nowadays as well. So we've got to be careful with these things.
Killing me. Yeah.
Another thing they mention here is cheese, manchego cheese.
Yep, that's really nice.
Cheese is good. Yeah,
I like good in Spain.
I like a manchego. There's a lot of variety of cheeses as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
loads. Yeah,
you've got
Spanish cheese is good stuff.
Blue cheeses. You've got soft cheeses, which are quite good. You've got the manchego cheese, of course. I think every region has a cheese.
I actually prefer the Spanish cheese and the French cheese.
To British cheese?
To French cheese.
To French cheese.
Yeah, I mean, my favourite cheese of all, because I don't like the really strong flavours, so my favourite cheese of all is cheddar. I mean, I grew up with it. But more than anything else, is because of the way it's very adaptable cheese. So
it melts well on a piece
really
of
good.
It melts well on a piece of toast.
Yeah, you do a bit of cheese on toast or something, and it actually goes golden brown on top, and it melts really nicely, and everything's great. But I mean, the manchego cheese, I love the manchego cheese, and but I like eating the Spanish cheeses. I like eating as they are, cold and just as they are, maybe in a sandwich or something, or in a salad and that. But I like the cheddar sort of every way, shape or form, really.
All right, good, like a cheddar. But Spanish cheeses are good.
Fantastic.
You also say that you have to try paella Valenciana. I'm not a big rice fan. I don't mind paella, but I'm not a huge rice fan. It wouldn't be something that I order if I go to a restaurant here. I
love paella. I do like rice. I used to cook a lot of paella. In fact, funny story with that. When I first got to Mallorca, as you know, I was 3 years in Mallorca. Every year, I had to teach the new entertainers coming into the company
how to make a paella.
The general entertainment for the hotel. And one of the things I had to do every single week on a Wednesday, I had to cook a huge paella for like 60 people, massive great dish, and I had to cook it in front of everybody and show them how to make it. And of course, I was the only entertainer in the hotel on the Wednesdays. It just happened to be the Spanish girls' day off, and it was this English guy showing people how to make paella. I mean, the Spanish people, as soon as they hear that, they sort of like immediately roll their eyes and that.
Well, actually, there was a scandal a couple of years ago because Jamie Oliver put chorizo
in a paella.
In a paella.
I wouldn't even do that. I mean, no, I actually.
Well, the Spanish went up.
Showed how to do it by the
Spanish were up in arms about that.
Oh god, yeah.
I mean, I think Jamie Oliver's never received so many trolls on Twitter criticising him for that. But you have to be. Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, these things are very traditional. If you put anything in them that the people are not expecting, Like if you're making a paella and you decide to put an ingredient that you think would be nice, but they're not expecting it, watch out.
Well, I mean, if you do it at home, it's fine. I mean, if Jamie Oliver put chorizo in his paella at home, it wouldn't be a problem. I don't think anyone should complain about it.
No, but the problem was that he called it paella. See, if he had called that anything else, if he had called that Spanish rice with chorizo, nobody would have complained. But because he used the word paella,
that's not paella. Chorizo and a paella?
No, that's it. Because people are not open to experimentation with a lot of these dishes.
Well, where I was going with the old paella thing, so I was showing these British people how to cook paella, which is fine. It's fine. The chef showed me how to cook paella. The chef actually prepared because I was working in the morning. The chef would actually prepare all the ingredients for me, and then we'd all take them out to where I was cooking, and then I would cook the whole thing. The chef would go off and do the lunch, and I'd cook the whole thing on my own. And it was great, and I actually got very good at it. I cooked really good paella. But then at the end of the year, I had to show all the new entertainers how to do the different entertainment that we did. So I mean, show them all the sports, how you do it with the guests, obviously, because it's not one thing's how to play something, another thing's how to get the guests involved. Yeah. And then the paella. The problem was that out of 40 students that I had, probably 38 of them were Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So then, because I was British guy showing 38 Spanish people how to cook paella, and when they, as soon as I said what I was going to do, they were like, I was like, oh my god, they're going to kill me. So that was quite amusing.
Yeah. So the Spanish didn't take too kindly to a foreigner showing them how to make one of their local dishes, probably the most famous.
I don't blame them, to be honest. Well. It's a traditional Spanish dish, and I mean, it was just out of the simple fact I was the only person available to do it, and I actually got good at it as well. So I mean, it wasn't a problem. But being British, people that were Spanish weren't that happy about a British guy showing Spanish people how to cook paella. But at the end of the day, if you're taught how to do it, what's the issue?
Well, that's it. Yeah, but everybody's an expert on the paella. They all, they've all had it. Thousands of times. Jamón ibérico, which is what we mentioned here. Enjoyed as a tapa. You said that you like to get one of these hams in the kitchen and just slice away.
Oh god, I could be there.
Did you see there was a guy on the metro the other day that was sharpening a knife? Did you see that?
Yeah. What was that all about?
But did you hear what he
was actually
he's a professional ham cutter.
Yeah.
And he was sharpening his knife on the metro, and people thought he was going to murder somebody.
Yeah. I mean, for those people that don't know what a knife looks like that cuts ham, it's about that long. It's really thin and it's really sharp. Yeah. So it's not the sort of thing you want to be cooking on a metro.
And he was sharpening, this knife sitting down on the metro, and he was going to work. That's it. A bit strange that situation, but anyway, this is the celebrated Spanish product, and a lot of people, compare it to the Italian version. The prosciutto, but Spanish people won't have any of that.
No, I actually don't. I much prefer the Spanish ham. Much prefer it.
Yeah,
I've tried both various times.
So I like it, but I don't go to the end of the earth to eat a jamón. I mean, I like it, but
I go to the moon and back for a minute to eat a jamón.
So that's it. Because you like you're a fan of pork. Gazpacho, another thing they mention here. No?
This is why I can never become Spanish. I can never be Spanish because I hate olives and I hate gazpacho.
All right.
I can't. This is probably the only two foods that I won't eat. I'll try anything else. Anything. I'll eat anything. I'll go to any country. I'll try all their foods, everything. But I do not like gazpacho at all. And olives. Wow, they just turn my stomach. No,
okay. Well, I disagree. I like olives. In fact, I don't say I love olives, but I like to have an olive as an aperitivo, as they say. And gazpacho, if it's a hot day, I'll have a gazpacho. I don't mind a gazpacho. Pisto is another thing that they mention here. Pisto manchego. It's like a type of ratatouille. It's like a vegetable mix with a tomato base. And empanada. Well, they've got a picture here of Argentinian empanadas. So, but the Gallego empanada is
if you get a good one,
like a pie.
Yeah, if you get a good one and it's cooked well, I really
there's a lot of bad ones.
That's the problem.
There's a lot of bad ham as well. Eh?
Yeah, that's true. But I can eat that anyway. But the empanadas, I think if you get if you don't get a good one, they can often be very dry.
Yeah.
And not so tasty. And I don't really like empanada when it's cold. I like a warm empanada.
Yeah.
My father-in-law and my sister-in-law make really good empanadas, really good, especially when they're fresh out the oven, and I love them. They're really nice. But one of the reasons I like them so much, I really miss my meat pies and stuff in the UK.
Yeah. They're difficult to get here. I've made them. I've made a meat pie.
Yeah, I've made them a few times.
Yeah. But you can't buy them.
No.
And patatas bravas is the other one here. Patatas bravas.
I'm
not a big fan.
No, not massive. I love
potatoes with tomato, but they're like a spicy
tomato thing. Is not. No, I'd rather have just chips with a bit of salt on and maybe ketchup or barbecue sauce. But the brava sauce is not really. I don't find the flavour anything exciting. Personally, so I'm not a massive fan. I'll eat them, but
you can get them almost. I think they're on the menu in nearly every bar or restaurant maybe not restaurants, but every bar in Madrid at least will have bravas on the menu. So that's it. Now you were saying before that you had a bit of a discussion, let's say, with some Spanish people about British food.
Yeah, it was a very interesting couple of conversations I had. We were just.
Well,
they were students.
I'll just interrupt here. British food, for 99.9% of all Spanish people, they just don't rate it.
They just don't rate it at all, no. And unfortunately, I think a lot of Spanish people, when they go to the UK, a large majority of them go to London, which doesn't help because the timetable obviously isn't the same. So people try and have their lunch at 2:00 and everything's shut. Dinner, and everything's closed, and you don't necessarily go to particularly expensive or even half expensive restaurants when you're on a budget on visiting another country, and sometimes that can be detrimental to you as well. So I think unfortunately we don't get the best rap when it comes to food. But I think if you go outside of the big cities, I think the people inside big cities can be very lazy sometimes with the food. So they tend to order a lot in.
Yeah,
they use a lot of processed food. They don't cook as much. However, if you go out, for example, my town and other places that are more rural, everyone cooks. Everyone knows how to cook. You've got the traditional meals as well. My mum cooks every day. And yeah, we have the typical traditional English food. It's not as varied as Spanish food at all. I mean, that's obvious. We don't have the variety of food in the UK that what you can have in the Mediterranean and around Spain. It's just not the. It's not the same type of food.
Well, a lot of things don't grow properly.
Well, exactly. We import everything. Citrus is all imported. Some of the vegetables, depending on the time of year, are also imported. But if you actually get British vegetables, I mean, they're top quality because the climate's perfect for a lot of the vegetables. So and
Britain,
red fruits and like apples and stuff like that. Fantastic.
Britain. I mean, I'll talk about England. I can't talk about the rest of Britain. But I remember going to your town there, John, and I was blown away by the quality of the gardens people had. I mean, we stayed at a place there that the woman's garden was absolutely fantastic. She had so many different varieties of plants. Yeah. So and the soil is just so good. I mean, top quality vegetables that do grow in that soil.
Yeah. I mean, runner beans, peas, potatoes are absolutely fantastic. The fresh potatoes.
You try even growing tomatoes here. It's in the middle of summer. In
Madrid, it's not easy.
It's not easy in Madrid. No,
go down to Miajadas and you got some absolutely fantastic tomatoes down there. Actually, taste like tomatoes. But then we have that. Tomatoes, I think, is a very curious thing. You go to a supermarket in the UK and you buy tomatoes in a supermarket, and majority of the time they don't even smell like proper tomatoes. They just haven't a taste. It's a bit like here.
Well, even here. Yeah. Well, it's because they're producing them 12 months of the year.
Yeah, and they're also picking them when they're still green a lot of the time.
Well, that's what they do with a lot of. But that's what happens when you live in a city. I'm sure that if you live in a smaller town, that doesn't happen. Yeah. But you don't get a variety of the green vegetables that you do here. I mean, you can get your beans, you can get frozen peas. You don't really see a lot of fresh peas a lot of the times in supermarkets. That is, maybe if you go to a grower's market, you can get them. But you were talking about when you go to a restaurant and you order a piece of meat or you order some fish, you don't get vegetables with your in Spain. No.
It's very, very rare to get vegetables.
You'll get chips, or you'll get a fried red or green capsicum or pepper. Maybe you'll get a
salad.
Maybe a salad.
Mostly salads.
Maybe you'll get a little bit of grilled aubergine or or
I've
something
not
like
had that
that?
for a long time either
No?
in a restaurant. No, there are very few vegetables normally served as a garnish in the restaurants here, which is something I personally miss because. The typical saying back home is, general food is meat, potatoes, and 3 veg. That's the UK, the England thing. And okay, it's not.
So if you order a piece of meat in a British restaurant, you'll get some nice carrots, probably.
Yeah, carrots, broccoli, peas, sweet corn, runner beans. Runner beans are very, very popular. I love runner beans. So there's a lot. Cabbage as well. We eat pretty much everything. Brussels sprouts at the time, depending on the time of the year. I love Brussels. It's something people either hate or love. But yeah, I miss that, and I can understand some of the Spanish viewpoints on the food back in England, because if you do go to certain areas, or if you go somewhere where people aren't particularly good at cooking, it can come out as quite bland. People look at it as quite bland, especially if they don't use gravy or other sauces with it, white sauce or something. It can be bland food, but it depends on your tastes, and it's not the only food. Some of the things I really miss are the stews and the spoon. Some of the food that we eat with spoon, I think a lot of them are just as good as the Spanish spoon food.
Yep.
But I think there's more variety in Spain, which is what I love.
And the desserts in the UK are quite good as well.
The desserts are amazing, yeah. The bakeries and everything.
The cakes.
And the bread in general is all. The bread is not. You buy a pan bimbo, which with a sandwich bread here.
But that's
that can be for like 3 months.
That's a second. That's a terrible product.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. But if you get sandwich bread in the UK, it's 2 or 3 day shelf life, and then it goes off.
What's it?
It's fresher. So that sort of stuff I miss. But the typical Spanish bread from a baker's, the bars of bread, and the rustic bread as well. I love that. It's absolutely fantastic. Here. So there are things. I just think they're very different. So you need to know what you're going to get when you go. Yeah. But the bakeries in the UK, the sweets, the cakes and things are top notch. I love them.
Yeah, that's it. I that would be a criticism that I do have here, is that in general cakes, sweets are not. Portugal has very good cakes, sweets, and things like that. But in Spain, sort of neglected that a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think they make up for it with a lot of the other dishes. I think Spanish food in general is absolutely fantastic. It's really good food, but there are certain things that,
you don't get a lot of the creativity in the desserts that you get. Like you don't get I remember. In Australia we have a lot of the traditional British, desserts, and even something like a trifle and things like that, which were, it's a heavy dessert, but it's
toffee pudding.
It's tasty. Upside down pudding and all of those things. All right, we'll move on now. We'll move on to the last and final topic here, John. We've been going for 38 minutes, so we won't talk too much about this week, and it's dealing with tradies. Now, we had to change the boiler this week, the hot water system and the heating, the boiler, and the other one carked it. So we got various quotes, and the tradies come in, and the experience wasn't too bad. Now, I want to get your opinion on dealing with tradies here in Spain. Have you had any bad experiences, or predominantly good?
In general, I find I've had fairly good experiences. In my house, I had a lot of problems in my house in Catalonia when I lived there. Mainly because a lot of trade people wouldn't go to Catalonia.
So too far away.
Yeah, so I was stuck with only the people in the area. So there's always a long waiting time, which I find in Madrid as well. It seems to be a long waiting time for certain tradespeople. I've actually got a hole in my bath at the moment where there was a problem with the plumbing. We've gone through insurance. The insurance company rang me 2 weeks ago to give me an appointment for the 6th of April. It's like, really? So I've got a hole in my bath, the side of my bath for a month and a half. Sometimes the lead times can be a little bit long, but in general, I think the tradespeople are pretty good. You do have to be careful of the cowboys, but the same in any country you're at. You got the cowboys in the UK as well. You got to be careful of the cowboys. Yeah. Some of them don't know what they're doing as well. So you just got to keep an eye on them a little bit.
Yeah, it's a big problem. In this particular part of Madrid, a lot of the tradespeople are from Romania, and they're jack of all trades. You know,
a lot of them are very good.
You know, they're plumbers, they're electricians, they're they're bricklayers. They
My
do
next door neighbour's Romanian.
They do everything.
He's a bricklayer and does a bit of everything.
However, you can. There are scammers amongst them as well. I mean, we've had a couple of experience with people that they don't do the work on time, or they show up a bit late. Sometimes they have trouble communicating some things with them, and sometimes they can be a little bit rogue. But the experience we had with the boiler was that we got an initial quote for 1,600 euros, and in the end we ended up paying 1,200 euros. So there was a 400 euro difference on top price and bottom price. So obviously, shopping around when it comes to people doing this work. I mean, there's a lot of people offering their services, so you can shop around and get a good deal a lot of the time. Yeah. I don't know what it's like down in the coastal areas. I heard there's a lot of British people working in trades down there as well. In the
areas down on the coast, you've got obviously people don't all just come over and retire on the coast. There's people working there as well. Right. So you'd have British tradies there as well.
Well, probably a lot of people are going to trust the British mechanic before a Spanish one, maybe, or
but that's not because the Spanish aren't trustworthy. That's simply because they're so lazy. They don't learn the language. That's the thing. I think you've really got. It doesn't matter what age you are. There's no excuse for it. No matter what age you are, if you're going to move to Spain, learn some of the language, at least the basics. If you don't learn it, you're always going to have this problem. Whenever you've got a problem with trades, you need a tradesperson, any sort of problem with any utilities company, and you've got to speak to them on the phone, anything like that. If you don't speak Spanish, you're always going to have issues there. And then, of course, you get things misinterpreted, and then some people, they won't take it as... I didn't understand him properly.
I'll take it as I've been ripped off.
I've been ripped off, and it's not the case the majority of the time. And I actually get embarrassed about it, because you go down to the coast and there's so many people that I play cricket with that've been living on the coast for absolutely years, and their Spanish is just god awful. It's just They can put about 3 words together, and that's about it. And you're like, you've been here for 20 years, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Well, I have a student at the moment who lives in L'Albir. Do you know, is that Alphas?
Albir.
Albir, it's like a...
Yeah, so, it's actually the
coastal... that's it.
Alphas is actually in Albir, the community.
And she has a restaurant there. And she was telling me that the majority of clients are foreign. Yeah. And very few people come into the restaurant with... I mean, she had to learn English to be able to serve people, basically.
So it's just pockets of tourists or foreign.
And this place is what, 20 kilometres north of Benidorm or something, is it? Yeah. So it's in that Mediterranean coast, and I'm sort of on the fence with this. I can understand the people, that they have created their own little world down there, and there are tradespeople that are going to be. But that's also going back to the scamming aspect of things. People would come down to those areas deliberately to scam people. Do you know what I mean? Because it's an easy target.
Yeah, but British people will be going there to scam.
Well, this is what I mean. This is what I mean.
It's a typical thing.
Yeah, that's it.
You've got to be careful. Wherever
easy targets. Yeah. But dealing with tradespeople. My experience is generally good. As I said, shop around, try and get different prices. People are, that they want to do business. They want to have your custom. So shop around and try and get good prices, and don't think that somebody's deliberately trying to rip you off.
And try not to get tempted with cheap quotes, because they don't give you an invoice. So many people fall into that trap. We'll give you it for 500 instead of 600 because
the guarantee.
VAT. Well, there's no guarantee.
The guarantee's in the invoice a lot of the time.
There's no comeback to it. If they do anything wrong, you're in trouble. You get a proper invoice. Don't go down that.
Because a lot of people are trying to save that VAT. That 21% on top of a lot of these items. But anyway, okay, we'll start to wrap up there. Didn't really speak too long about the tradespeople situation, but we could come back to that another time. Questions or comments, leave them in the section below. John, thanks for your participation.
If I ever offended any Spanish people about the fact I hate olives or anything else, don't. I love Spanish food. I love Spanish people.
You probably offended more people saying that you were teaching Spanish people how to make paella.
Yeah, that wasn't my fault. Don't blame me. It was just circumstances at the time.
Anyway, thanks for your participation, John. As I said, questions or comments, leave them in the section below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Listen to us on all of the podcast platforms. We're on about 13 podcast platforms. Every day there seems to be another one that we pop up on. So you can find us anywhere nowadays. So we'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.